of the potentially fatal disease ParvoVirus.
It's believed at least one animal has already died and owners are being encouraged to vaccinate their pets. Kate Prout has the report.
Stefan Martini treats another dog with suspected parvovirus at the companion care practice in Norwich. A cocktail of antibiotics and plenty of fluids, and she should pull through.
Just be aware that it is around. Okay, so I think a lot of it is common sense. Yes, it does, unfortunately, it is contagious, it does spread. And I would, the message would be just, make sure, you vaccinate, because immunity is the most important thing in these cases, yeah.
Passed on through faeces, it can cause fatal digestive and heart problems if not treated immediately.
So puppies are particularly susceptible to the parvovirus. The symptoms to look out for are excessive vomiting and dysentery and diarrhoea, and also major respiratory problems. And if you see any of these symptoms, the advice is get to the vet as soon as possible.
The virus last struck Norwich in 2006 when about 70 dogs were infected and more than 40 died. Stefan says this is not yet an epidemic, but to prevent it spreading even further, dog owners should clean up after their animals and get them to a vet as soon as they show any possible signs of illness. Kate Prout, Anglia News, Norwich.
The finishing touches are being applied to this year's Royal Norfolk show. There'll be all the usual competitions and entertainment in the Grand Ring.
After hundreds of years of chiming, church bells in Cambridge could be silenced because new neighbours say they can't sleep.
The 6 bells at St Andrew's in Chesterton ring every 15 minutes, all day and all night.
Well, now the vicar's considering stopping them during the night because dozens who live in new flats next to the church have complained. Martin Stew has more.
The bells of St Andrew's in Chesterton have chimed out for hundreds of years. Their peal, a popular piece of tradition.
Well, that is, of course, until you get to night time. It's been a hot day, you've got the windows open to help you sleep, and all you can hear is this.
Now some who live in the newly built flats nearby want the chimes, which strike every 15 minutes, to be silenced at night.
I think people need to imagine it's a bit like having a grandfather clock in your bedroom. And for some people, that would be a lovely, reassuring experience to have that chiming through the night. For other people, it would be maddening. And we have to understand that people react differently. And that's what we're trying to help everybody to live in a harmonious neighbourhood.
Jackie Ambrose lives opposite St Andrew's, her windows open towards the church.
I do have it open, but I sleep at the back. I can still hear it, but like I say, I can just block it out now. You just get used to it after a while.
Following a meeting with neighbours, the church is now considering turning off the quarterly chimes, but keeping the hourly bongs.
Well, you have to have them in a church, surely, don't you? Would be a church with no bell. Probably, what's the point of having a church?
Put the kids down to sleep, and then the bells start and they're all awake again. Especially, as I say, when the windows are open.
Well, I've lived here 70-odd years and I've never worried about them. Once you've lived here and heard them, you get used to it.
Stopping the quarterly chimes would mean fitting a new mechanism in the bell tower.
Show me the way.
The vicar gave me a tour.
And so these have been chiming like this since, what, the 19th century?
Yeah, since the clock would have been installed in the 19th century. Not quite sure when in the 19th century. Sometime after the Great St Mary's one, which was 1797.
The Church Council will decide what to do next week. Their decision to forsake tradition in order to love their neighbours. Martin Stew, Anglia News, Chesterton in Cambridge.
I can relate to that, because I live next to a church and I rather like it. But
You don't mind it?
I don't. I think there are more complaints actually about my snoring, drowning out the chimes.
I couldn't handle it, I know that. Now, after all the disappointment of England's performance in the World Cup, something of a pick-me-up in Essex today.
England world champion women's cricket team were taking on New Zealand at Chelmsford, and that game was just the opening fixture in a mouth-watering double bill. Becky.
Our sports correspondent Donovan Blake has been soaking up the atmosphere.
Following Essex and England is second nature for these young cricketers. They're members of the county's under-11 girls team, so it may come as a surprise that they're clamouring for the autograph of a New Zealand player, opening bowler Sian Ruck. Well, there's a good reason for that. Sian has helped with their coaching.
Because at times my head goes like a little bit wonky when I'm bowling, and she taught me like how to keep my head straight.
And when I used to bowl, I used to have a little skip before I went in, and she taught me just to jump and stop.
New Zealand were the opponents for England's women's team, who were back at Chelmsford for the second year running. The Essex girls providing the guard of honour before the game. Judging by the early crowds, interest in the women's game shows no sign of waning.
I'm living here temporarily, but I know a couple of girls in the team, and I'm just here to support them.
I've seen part of it on the television, but I've never really sat and watched the whole game.
The success of the England women's team in recent years has had a real knock-on effect on club cricket across the country. An extra 500 clubs nationwide now boast sections for women's and girls' cricket. Of course, the main attraction to most fans comes tonight, the 2020 Cup match between Essex and Sussex. But officials at the Ford County Ground believe their decision to host two big games on the same day will be a success.
We've had the England women here before. We had Australia last year, which was fantastic for us, and we had a really good crowd. But this game being back-to-back with our men's match this evening against Sussex brought a few sort of marketing challenges with it. It's gone pretty well. I mean, we've sold the best part of 5,000 tickets for this evening, or the day, should I say, and a good crowd in already to watch the first part of the women's game.
And I bet there were mixed emotions among those Essex under-11 girls. Cambridgeshire's England skipper Charlotte Edwards stumped 4 runs short of her 50. The bowler was Sian Ruck. Maybe they'll forgive her for that. Donovan Blake, Anglia News, Essex.
I wonder, well, the match has now finished. You can see, yes, it's another win for England, beating New Zealand there by 37 runs. Essex, Sussex up next. Well, from the England side that wins to the one that doesn't, I'm afraid.
With the World Cup over for Fabio Capello's team, you may be thinking, what do we do with all of those now extremely redundant England flags?
Well, Gary Hutley from Braintree in Essex seems to have found the solution, as you can see there.
Yeah, this was seen in Malden in Essex, a recycling centre for England flags.
We were wondering what they could actually be converted to. We decided possibly handkerchiefs to wipe away the painful tears was the best thing. Oh dear.
Now we are halfway through your news hour. Coming up, the national news.
Coming up on the ITV News.
Seeing
we'll be kept on being reminded for the next 4 years now, won't we?
Should we get the weather? Take our mind off it. Here's Amanda Houston.
A reminder, any other quirky photos you've got like Gary's, do send them in. Jonathan and Becky at ITV.com.
Yes, that's it from us. Have a lovely evening.
See you soon.
Tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye.